Define architecture for Snohetta and for yourself.
That's a big question to start with. I think the definition of architecture starts with people. Without people, you could make the most amazing building, but if there's no one there, then there's no reason to even have the building. I think the second part of that definition is the climate and where those people actually come from, understanding how they're going to move through space and what sorts of conditions they want to be in. And those two drivers start to bring many answers to what architecture can be. I think Snohetta holds those as close ideals in all of the work that we do. And I guess the third would be to not lose a connection to the earth. We continue to build cities, and at times we begin to forget that we're actually building on the earth, that we have land beneath us. So people, landscape, and understanding the climate where the building is going to be. I think for me, it's the same answer. I mean, those two things go hand in hand, and we continue to work in that manner. So.
What part of the process?
We actually began as a landscape firm. When we won the competition in 1989, in Norway, we were based as a landscape architecture firm. Some of the other partners that were part of the competition at that time lived in LA and Germany, and they had all come together for the competition. Having a landscape base has continued as one of the foremost drivers for us as a firm, as I mentioned from the three answers before. I think it continues to be a place where we can connect with people because we all live on the landscape. But I think we're beginning to challenge ourselves in where that landscape exists. So on higher planes or lower than where the Earth's surface could be, and understanding how people fit within that and how we perceive each other. So it's always sort of a discussion about the horizontal plane and where it moves in space.
In your own words, which is the path architecture is following lately?
It's hard to say. It seems like there's a tendency for it to still remain very local, although information is obviously very global at the moment. I don't think it's become part of the internet age yet, where ideas are transcending the locality of where the things are being made. And that to me is a very good thing. I think we're sharing information in a really great way across the internet, and our ideas are being shared, but people are still very proud of their place, and that is holding true in architecture, and I hope it continues. Couldn't be considered Norwegian? I think that the projects that we have in Norway are considered Norwegian. I think the projects we have in other parts of the world should be considered of that place. We happen to be the people that designed them at that time, but eventually, 150 years from now, our firm may or may not exist, but those buildings will still be there. And if they have a connection back to Norway, it's by the nature of the social stories that we tell each other in our lifetime or pass along to people. So I think that the architecture is going to change for every country over time. Even in Norway, it's much different than what it used to be or considered is Norwegian architecture. And that's a good thing. Change is going to happen. So in a way, yes, it's always going to be Norwegian because it was made by a certain group of people, but then the buildings themselves should be of that place.
What do you recommend for architecture students?
To travel and experience as much of the world as possible. The more, the more you put yourself in as many different possible spaces and conditions, the more you can understand the possibilities of what you're working with at that time. So I think travel is paramount, and if not, be able to get into books, get into the internet, explore other places in the world with an objective eye and really take it in for yourself.
How do you think architecture should be taught?
Should be taught.
Yes.
I think it's the same answer almost as what I said before, through experience. In my schooling, they actually taught us how to teach ourselves. And it didn't matter that we were studying architecture. You were allowed to experiment and dive into whatever you wanted or were interested in. And that was important because you took that away from school. You didn't need the forum of the school to continue that in your life. And I think teaching people how to teach themselves or understand the world around them gives them the opportunity beyond school to continue that sort of exploration.
In which way has Norwegian architecture changed?
I think that there was a kind of inward focus to older Norwegian architecture that came very much from nature, from a lot of the storytelling that was happening within the country. And as the country has grown and changed and become sort of a design leader in Europe, they're being looked at a lot more, and it's changed in a way that is for the better. It's become more expansive and more fun in a way, which allows more people to engage in it. It's become more open. Materials-wise, I think it's remained very much the same, and the choices that people are using in the buildings is still from that place, but the way they're being used is more experimental and more engaging for the larger public. So it's a very fun time in Norway right now.
Are there any differences between the Oslo office and the New York office in the way that you work?
Not in the way that we worked. There's cultural differences because of the people that work at each location. But we're very much a global firm. We represent all parts of the globe in each office. There's just different economic, political, and social understandings because the cultures are different. But we in terms of design, we hold the same principles in both offices, and we work. We even work together as often as we can. So there's as much crossover as possible.